The summer of 2022, I got kicked out of my house and had to move 4 hours away from everyone I knew and everything I knew. It was a time where I was really lost and a lot of developing moments happened, I would say. And one thing in particular was what I had done around that time. It took me a couple weeks to get a job, and then I finally got a job and I was working at fucking Subway making like $15 an hour. Now, during this time, I had a year before this, I had fell into the whole red pill shit, gathered some thoughts from it, and came out on the other side and kind of developed an opinion around it. And it was kind of like a little bit of a balance, yin yang bell curve type shit, with each side, the left and the right. And then I saw Sneako. This was the same time where Sneako and Andrew Tate started to rise, and they really captivated me. I kind of ignored all the coarse bullshit and a lot of the stupid, like, joking opinions and a lot of the motivational you need to start getting some shit done type things really made me gravitate towards them. And I would spend most of my time at Subway because it was fucking boring, shitty, loser job. And I spent most of my time with a fucking earbud in my ear listening to podcasts or live streams of them doing this. A bunch of other shit happened. I moved again, all sorts of shit, and I ain't watched that shit in like fucking 6 months. Well, fast forward to recent times. Andrew Tate is out of the picture. He's released now, but this video isn't going to be about him. A while back, Sneako and Moist Critical, I didn't really follow the drama too much. I just saw like little clips and shit like that. Well, Moist Critical and Sneako, they both exchanged some words and got pretty heated against each other. And just yesterday, they hopped on a call together, and it was like a breath of fresh air. A fucking cold ice drink on a sunny day. It was so refreshing to see an actual healthy conversation between two people with different opinions. And you never see that, because online nowadays, it's just all hate or one-sided. It's some fucking Hassan or H3H, just this type of shit. Just hating on one side, calling one this, and the other one calling him a fucking libtard and yada yada yada. And whenever I'd finally realized that maybe you shouldn't pick sides. I mean, you can watch who you want because at the end of the day, it's just entertainment. But for the most part, you shouldn't pick sides with your views. You should watch this person without an opinion, think about what they've said, and then form an opinion on it. And Sneako, I had watched him so long that whenever this beef broke out, I found myself kind of sympathizing with him, even though he was saying stupid shit. It's like the whole cuties thing. That's dead ass like robbing a fucking bank, filming yourself robbing a real bank and then putting it in a movie and saying, "Oh, it's just a movie." I mean, come on, dog. See, that's some straight cheese pizza, son. But Charlie also does some degenerate stuff, and I never really watched him. I watched more Sneako. And the reason why I like Sneako was his older videos, his older content. Just like Kanye, I liked a lot of his older shit, and I still fuck with him because of it. I ain't gonna drop somebody off and still like their old. I ain't gonna still like someone's old shit and then just drop them off because they say something bad. If I fuck with you in the past, most likely I'll fuck with you in the present. And I just liked how Sneako, he was just so raw with a lot of his shit, saying things like how his ego was affecting him and whatnot, and that's really the main thing that I fucked with him for. Charlie, he always got me, I always kind of annoyed watching his videos. They're just real like nihilistic and oh fuck it. I just didn't really fuck with it that much. Fuck with the dude, he's kind of funny sometimes, but I never really watched his shit. But what I'm getting to here is a topic that I think it's Clear Creek Ranger School. The guy with the beard, smoke cigars and shit. He posted a video, and I'd been thinking about making this video of this topic for a while. And his video was about Chinese food. And he pretty much said that he went over to China, yada yada. He didn't know about it. He didn't know what to expect for the food. It wasn't his favorite. And there was one thing that he found that I think it was stinky tofu. And it was repulsive to him. And then he found another dish that he absolutely liked. And the whole consensus was, life is like Chinese food. You might have stinky tofu sometime and might have another dish. And that's one thing that I just don't understand why more people aren't doing. Like, I feel a lot of it is jokingly just I feel like a lot of it is just people jokingly siding with people. But then a part of me also feels like a lot of people they just live their life by taking a side of something instead of forming their own opinions on things. I mean, I like everything Andrew Tate says as far as getting your goddamn shit in order, fucking letting your nuts hang and stuff like that. But I don't want fucking 10 wives, dog. That shit's too much fucking work. You ever try to deal with one girl? I mean, that shit, 10 fucking girls are just too much. And same thing with Sneeko and all that. He's got a lot of hypocritical things, but so do we all. And I feel like there would be so much less fighting on each side of things if people just learn to cherry pick instead of seeing one clip of someone and forming a whole opinion on them and just jumping to hate on some hate bandwagon. I don't know how you can get to that point. For me, it was just a lot of exposure to different content. I started watching this Destiny dude, and I think he's kind of cringy. Like, he says a lot of fucking cringy ass shit. But for the most part, I liked his whole thing back and forth with Sneeko. I got to kind of pull myself out of this little echo chamber that I was in, and then kind of see the other side. And then I'd go on that side, and I'd be like it for a little bit, follow it, and then all of a sudden they'd say something that would pull me out of it. And then slowly and steadily, I just started carving my own path, and I think it really just comes with experience. Now let's talk about echo chambers. You can get echo chambers in real life just like you get online. It's like the Waco cult. I live kind of near Waco. It's like the Waco cult. All these Heaven's Gate and all this shit. You can get brainwashed by some shit. But to dismiss a whole group of people as just brainwashed misogynists or brainwashed libtards is just not gravy and biscuits, okay, son? I fell in this trap myself. I really used to I used to fucking write comments and argue with people and shit like that and just really kind of waste my time, to be honest. But you can fall in this trap especially online and just like text and stuff like that. There's no context. There's no face to face. In real life, you say some shit that really pisses somebody off. You can't be like, all right, libtard faggot. In real life, you can't really just be like, yeah, you stupid fucking misogynistic alpha male piece of shit. You can't really say that to somebody in real life because they're going to kick your fucking ass. And if they don't, then I'll just get my own echo chamber and I'll call them a pussy. But online, you have none of these real world repercussions, so you can just fall in these little echo chamber. I get you just call them it. You can fall into these little echo chambers where you're around all these like-minded people, and it's just like Destiny. He's just surrounded by people who kind of reinstate his opinion and almost worship him. I remember I started liking him for a while, and then I saw him debate somebody about being a Democrat or a Republican, and they were like, how did you become a liberal? Now, the person was being a dick, and he kind of got annoyed. That's why I said it like this. But he was like, I don't know, man. I got older, got smarter. And that shit just soured me with him immediately. It was just kind of like, come on, dog. I know you're smarter than that to just say something that vague and just kind of nonsensical. But getting back to being a master cherry picker, that's what I like to call it, is being a master cherry picker. Going about life not one-sided is way healthier and way more rewarding whenever you finally can learn to not stay on one side. You probably won't have as many friends as you did, because a lot of people's friend groups are just based off of fucking sharing opinions with each other. But as you mature and stuff like that, as I've matured, I kind of realized that one example, I matured. I used to be heavy into the self-improvement sphere. I used to think everyone that smoked weed was a fucking lazy bum loser. And I used to smoke a gram of wax a day, dog. I used to smoke 10 dabs before school to skip first and second period. And I had fell into this trap where I stopped smoking weed for such a long stint of time that I just thought these people were losers. And one of my best friends smokes weed all day, every day. And I got in a discussion with him where I was just kind of like, I still hold some of those values where I feel like if you really hold yourself higher for some sort of greatness in this world, then it's best if you kind of take out all the distractions, and weed is a great distraction. But we kind of talked and we bickered a little bit, but we kind of came to an agreement at the end to agree to disagree, and it was real civil. And it feels good to have those conversations. It's not like arguing with somebody. Yeah, you can get in this habit of these echo chambers of watching all these people argue and be negative, and just like, even like Sneeko, where he would just fucking this is why I stopped watching him, was whenever he just would watch these videos and just hate on everybody and just be erratic. And yeah, it's entertaining, but son, I like education. I like, whenever I'm watching entertainment type shit, I like it to have some sort of I like it whenever I'm watching entertainment, I like it to have some form of education in it. And it just wasn't getting it there. Same thing with Destiny. You can kind of learn, same thing with Destiny and shit like that, and you can kind of start to learn a little bit from them, and then they just start going on this money making route where they hit a little sprig of making a lot of money, and then they just follow this formula of fucking drama and all this. But I just saw this video between Moist Critical and Sneeko pretty much hashing out their problems and burying the hatchet, and it really just made me feel good in my soul. And the first thought that came to my mind is kind of cringy, but I was just like, the world is healing. That shit just felt nice. It felt like two worlds colliding and making peace. And it seemed in the comments, I read a couple of them, it seemed that a lot of people felt the same way too. So, if you got anything else to say or whatever, leave it down in the comments and let me know how you feel. I hope you have a good day. Stay grinding, old son. And just remember that it gets better no matter what.